It's always exciting, and we tend to have how do I put it? Engaging in interactions, not just with you, the listener, but also with our guests when we do have guests. And this morning, I do have a guest with us. He was with us, if I'm not mistaken, about 5 weeks ago. 4 or 5 weeks ago, or over the telephone, when we had conversations about Rivers State not meeting up with its quota for COVID-19 distribution. But apparently that has changed. Now, we'll start off this morning looking at news from Oyo State. So the Oyo State COVID-19 Task Force has uncovered the virulent Delta variant of coronavirus in the state. Now, the state incident manager confirmed the development yesterday. Spoke that the public is now notified and is now encouraging them for extra caution and consistent application of all advisories released by the task force. Now, the Delta variant is highly transmissible variant of COVID-19 originating from India, and it affects people more rapidly than the other known COVID-19 variants. Now, this is coming after the federal government last Thursday confirmed the very first case of the Delta variant in the country. And that was up north. I think it was there at the Abuja airport when the discovery was made. Now, joining me this morning is Dr. Urang Joseph, State Immunization Officer. Dr. Joseph, it's a pleasure to finally meet you and have you join us in person in the studios. Good morning.
Thank you, Jude. Good morning.
All right, it's always a pleasure. And we have to, as it were, because of the want of time, get straight into the matter. So, there are other variants of the normal COVID-19 that we know. Well, if you can, maybe in about 2 minutes, can you tell us how these things come about before we get on to the Delta variant and why this Delta variant is so terrible?
Well, it's very straight. It's a straightforward thing. For all those who know about viruses, know that these viruses change forms. So we call them mutations. I don't want to start with the word mutations. So they change forms. As they are reproducing, replicating, the forms change. Genetic, structural, can change at any point. So when you have more than one change or one alteration, we now call it variant because it's now varying from the original virus itself and all that. So it's one of the things that happen with viruses, especially when they have high level of replications and so on. So COVID is one of the viruses that we have seen, and of course mutations are going on daily basis, and if we don't cop this menace on time, we might have variants that will be more deadly than that. But sometimes you can have viruses mutating and having different variants. The variant can now be a less virulent one, or it could be more virulent one. So it's naturally expected. So for the alpha, comparing the alpha variant to this Delta variant, you obviously see the alpha is more friendly than even the Delta variant. So Delta variant so far is the deadliest of all the variants that have been seen.
Okay, what exactly makes the Delta variant, this worrisome? We're hearing cases of its landing in the US, in parts of Europe as well. Obviously in India, where it's stated to have originated from. What exactly makes this Delta variant of COVID-19 so dangerous?
Well, it's a structural change. And of course, for me, I describe it in this way, that these viruses want to survive as well. So they don't just stay for you to just clear them out. So they keep on replicating and changing forms that will make them more deadly and more, so that they can now replicate more. So for this variant, it's seen to have rapid activities. Even the symptoms you see normally with COVID, you're not seeing majority of them. The death rate is very high. The infection rate is quite high.
So people don't have loss of smell or lethargy.
You don't see those things, but you can actually see them. But most times you don't even notice it, and you see, like what happened in India, you see some people without complaints falling, dying.
Yes,
it's quite virulent, and of course the world might take some time to get used to it, which is a natural method where somebody get infected, you survive, you're able to have some immunity against it, and by the time large number of persons have some level of immunity against it, it can now curb the spread. But the other means of probably curbing the spread faster is by doing mass vaccinations, since we are having some vaccines that are very useful on it.
Okay, all right. Now let's talk a bit about this mass vaccinations. Now, in the EU, there were suits against Oxford AstraZeneca for not meeting up with their quota, what they paid for. America apparently, in the space of about 4 months, has vaccinated more than 30% of its population, and it's increasing to the point where they now even have stockpiles. Yes. And they're saying they're going to donate to people. So once again, let's talk about this vaccination process. We spoke about it over the air, yes, over the phone. People are still curious. How was science able to get a vaccine for a disease that literally just landed on our doorsteps in 2019, and we have been waiting for 20, 30 years for vaccines for malaria, for HIV, for hepatitis? You know, how come this happened so quickly?
Yes, number one, you look at COVID itself. COVID stemmed out from the family of the coronaviruses. So coronaviruses have been with humans for quite a long time. We can class them as flu viruses. Oh, okay. So we've not had this variant, this.
Okay, so my hand is up. I'm asking a question. Yes, no, now, when you say flu virus, does that fall under the H1N1 category?
Well, the H1N1, all of that, there are different viruses, but, yes, but they can all cause flu.
Flus, yes, okay. All right.
So, but this particular virus now decided to go deeper, because those flu viruses, they work on the upper respiratory tract, or they cause infections around the upper respiratory tract, and in most cases, they are self-limiting diseases. So it's not like they have more serious effect, but mutations occurred. Now you have a variant, a different virus entirely, that is now called COVID-19. So that has decided to go deeper than its family or its relatives. So work has been ongoing on flu viruses for a very long time. So when COVID came, with the attendant deaths associated with COVID and so on, what now happened is that people started deviating attention to this particular disease. But there has been baseline researches that have been ongoing. Then now science on its own has been developing to a point where you know that solving human problem is not at the physical level again. People are going down molecular. So molecular level, I'm talking about like Pfizer vaccine. They're talking about the DNA. You're introducing an RNA into the DNA.
That's a messenger RNA.
Yes, messenger mRNA. Yeah. I didn't want to use mRNA into the DNA, which will now transcribe a protein that looks like the COVID protein itself and sensitize the body. So even when COVID comes, the body is already sensitized against it. That's the first kind of vaccine we are having. So with that breakthrough, you're almost optimistic that malaria will have vaccine soon. With that kind of breakthrough, you're sure that HIV will have vaccine soon. Because the issues with malaria for some time is that it changes antigenic point. So you're trying to target the antigenic point. It changes. And the antigenic point changes. That's why you've been having malaria vaccine researchers that have been failing at phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials. None have gone to phase 3 clinical trials. So with this molecular level of addressing these issues, you're sure that we'll be able to address this or that. So the world is thinking. So we don't expect the traditional method of 15 years getting vaccine produced. Then the people would have died completely, like the Spanish flu.
Spanish flu, like killed in 1918.
Yes.
All right. So modern medicine technology has advanced to the point where, you know, more ingenious methods of, like you said, molecular level to address situations. But now let's come to our beloved Port Harcourt, to River State. The last time we spoke, we talked about vaccine apathy. You are the state immunization officer. So what has been happening since that time we had that conversation till date? Well,
the truth is, first, we have a big issue. The big issue we have, not just in River State, across Nigeria, people are not even believing that there is COVID as a disease. People are struggling to believe. Meanwhile, the world has moved on and are telling us different variants that are coming up. We were struggling with believing that there is a disease and all that. So Nigeria got just 3.9 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Of course, you know, what is the population of Nigeria? They said it's over 200 million.
Yes.
and we have 3.9. Look at the percentage.
Less than 1%.
So insignificant. And River State, was the population of River State? About 8 million or thereabout. And they gave us 150,240 doses. 150,000. Part of Obiakbo alone will consume 150,240 doses. But it took us from March 16th, when we started vaccinating, up till 8th of July before we were able to finish the entire vaccine. Look at the number of months we spent.
And this is meant to be for a 2-dose regime,
Yeah,
right?
initially it was for 1 dose, but because of the issue in India, because the Indian government decided that AstraZeneca and the Serum Institute of India, that are producers of the Oxford vaccine, must produce vaccines for the entire Indian population before they start exporting. So based on that, we were instructed to have it. So you take your first dose and you take the second dose.
Okay, so you
from that 150. So we are now talking about 75.
So an individual take the first dose, then you wait for about 4 weeks or 6 weeks or thereabout.
Well, yes, about 6 weeks to 8 weeks.
Before you take the next dose.
Yes.
Now, ordinarily, you're saying that those doses you could have just be taken at once.
That you take your first dose,
yes.
We would now be expecting another set of vaccine for a second dose.
Okay.
But because of the issue in India, they now have to say, okay, let's have it. But even at that, we had to open up again for first dose people, because the people that are taking first dose, they were not coming. They were not coming for no reason.
So it was just until July this month.
July 8th.
That's when you exhausted the...
We were exhausted the 150,240. But at some point, the pressure increased. So we had to borrow from Bayelsa, borrow from Edo.
But these states that we are borrowing from, these are our sister states that we are borrowing from, I don't think people have disappeared from those states. Was there still vaccine apathy in those states?
That's what I'm saying now. It's across the country. It's across the country. So, like the people in Bayelsa, they were just tired. They've been struggling and doing social mobilization, talking and all that. And it wasn't working. So, for program officers, like a program person now, it will be a discredit that you are in charge of a program and the vaccine expires on you. So the best thing is to give out to people. So when our own pressures start increasing, like even as I'm talking to you, a lot of people are looking for, we have to get vaccinated. But vaccines are finished. So at that time, pressure increased.
Dr. Urang.
Yes, sir.
The vaccines allocated to River State are exhausted.
Finished. One single virus is not remaining.
You're speaking to over 1 million Rivers people over this radio right now.
Finished on 8. I can even show you pictures of the last person that took the last dose. There
are no vaccines for River State right now.
There are no vaccines. I'm sure there are no vaccines in the entire country as well. We're expecting vaccines, but for now there are no vaccines.
Okay, so we're expecting some vaccines to come in. Now, I remember when this talk came out, when the COVAX initiative was started and Nigeria and Ghana received, there was also talk about other vaccines, talking about the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. What do you know about that? What's the status?
This is the first phase we are done. The first phase, ordinarily, we are targeting health workers, frontliners, and strategic leaders. Later, we opened up to health workers, frontliners, other frontliners, and elder people in the society. At some point, people are still not coming, so we opened up to everybody. The second phase was supposed to be for the elderly people, and with comorbidities or not. So, but unfortunately, we have already opened up the first phase. But now the sensitization is increasing. People are becoming aware that these vaccines and the myths they've been hearing are not serious issues that they need to go about. There is no ideal vaccine. So the story of if I take COVID vaccine, I will not have fever, I will not have pain at injections, and that's not true. But all these few things you see, we call them adverse events following immunization. They are transient. Minimum of 2 days and all that, and you're done. The person is fine without taking anything. So you have pain at injection site and all that. So they will magnify the myths and tell you somebody took COVID vaccine and now collapsed. That's not true.
Okay, so let's talk a bit. We have just about a minute. I'm sure you can tell us what the adverse effects that you say events rather
following
immunization, particularly for COVID. What are some of the things people will expect?
Yes, some of the things they complained because we monitored it closely. Pain at injection site, fever, some went on to complain cold, flu, some had weakness, and but maximum, the highest that we followed was for 3 days, and the person was fine without taking any medications. Then we've seen like few other persons that came out, they came down with itching.
Itching?
Yes,
okay.
And so you just give them hydrocortisone and they are fine.
Okay. All right. So, if you're just joining us, I have Dr. Urang Joseph with us, State Immunization Officer, and we're talking about COVID-19 and the variants. And the aim of this conversation is obviously to shed more light and clarification of the coronavirus. And I have one question that I'm going to pose to you, and then we're going to open the phone lines after the headline news at 11:30 this morning, and we want you to interact with the good doctor with us in the studio. So, over the past few months, you just alluded that many Nigerians were not coming forth to receive the vaccinations. In Lagos, there was also claim that the government at one time even asked that private testing centers be open, which was more expensive. But now that the vaccines were out, we're still having vaccine apathy. Are Nigerians developing, or do you think that Nigerians have developed herd immunity already? Because we go out to the markets, I go out to the markets, many people don't have their face mask on. Many people haven't had, in all fairness, any symptom in the past 6 months or 8 months. So, is there herd immunity developing in Nigeria?
Well, by the time we conclude and say we have herd immunity, there are a lot of factors we need to consider. Number one factor is, are there things protecting Nigerians from not coming down with the disease as much as we are being exposed to? That's number one thing. Let me use the example of dengue and yellow fever. For those who have had dengue, the severity of yellow fever is usually very less, because yellow fever and dengue fever are flaviviruses. So they have what we call cross immunity. So we needed to establish that fact. Is there a cross immunity between Nigerians? There are two sets of these coronaviruses and all that. That's one. Then two, could it be that we've been exposed to this disease for some time? That's another problem, because we need to really establish that fact. Then number three, do we have any study showing the burden of disease? Because what is our testing level in the country? We are saying we are 200 million or over. How many persons have been tested?
Yeah.
So at that point, you'll be able to establish the burden of disease. Then at that point, you can say, beat your chest and say, yes, there is some level of herd immunity, natural herd immunity. Because even with the vaccines, 3.9 million doses against 200 million, you cannot establish herd immunity. It's not possible.
You can't establish herd immunity with that number.
Look at the percentage.
1%. It's just less than 1%.
Just say 1%.
Yes.
Because 0.0%.
Yeah.
So 1% cannot be used to establish herd immunity. So if we are not coming down with the disease as much, but for us to say we are not coming down with the disease, we need to do disease burden. So what is the disease burden? How many tests have we concluded?
Okay, so there's a lot of vagaries with the Nigerian situation. We're not testing. We haven't had enough vaccines to as well initiate a herd immunity response, and we can't even take the disease load over the years. If it's 2 years ago that maybe we have been exposed that we don't even know. Okay. All right, so my guest, Dr. Urang Joseph, is joining me this morning, State Immunization Officer. That we're talking about the Delta variant and all the other COVID-19 variants, and also the state of the vaccination process in the state, in our region, River State. He has said, well, let him say it once again, because what is the state of the vaccination right now in River State?
We finished the last vial on July 8th. And we are expecting more vaccines. Probably we are going to resume again by August. But for now, vaccines are not available. So
there's no private stash anywhere. We cannot. Nobody.
There is no. All the vaccines that came to River State has expiration of the 9th of July. So
you had to exhaust them before the
9th of July. Yes. So there is no one single vaccine. We've searched everywhere, and we're sure that no single one.
Okay, all right. More to come after the commercial and headline news. Stay with us, 92.3 Nigeria Info. Hello, Butako. My name is Jude. When we come back, we'll start to engage you, get your thoughts on the matter, and also talk a bit about vaccine apathy. 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Headline News, Nigeria Info on
92.3.
Headline News.
Well, welcome. This is Headline News from the nation's #1 talk, news and sports radio station 92.3, Nigeria Info. APC chieftain Dakuku criticizes Governor Wike's project as Governor Wike gives account of his stewardship. Kidnapped Emir of Kajuru, Hassan Adamu regains his freedom. Ohaneze Nigbo to monitor trial of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. Management of Ignatius Ajuru University of Education suspends lecturer. President Nigeria Union of Journalists Christopher Isuguzo calls on National Assembly to drop the proposed NBC amendment bill. And in business, the federal government stops planning to privatize Nigeria's refineries. To the world of entertainment, Nigerian singer Wizkid's song Essence becomes first Nigerian song to crack the Billboard Top 100 charts. In sports, Vice President Yemi Osibanjo urges Nigerian team to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics to put in their best. And on the international scene, Haiti's national police announces arrest of suspected mastermind in the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. More details from midday, that will be 12 p.m. this afternoon. My name is Jude. Please contact our newsroom on 0818-900017. The number again is 0818-900017. Thank you for listening.
Information is a two-way thing. Nigeria Info, it's your turn. Let's talk.
Welcome back. So we've heard the good Dr. Urang Joseph, who's joining me in the studio as we talk about vaccinations and the variant. Yes, COVID-19 once again is on our radar this morning, and we just heard from him that the vaccines that have been allocated to River State, while taking so long to be used, have now officially been exhausted. But now there's this tiny, just always a major issue of the Delta variant. Do we have herd immunity? The good doctor doesn't think so. But what are your questions to the doctor? What other clarification of the virus would you require? As many questions as we can, we will entertain and pass on to our guest this morning. Hello, Port Harcourt. Once again, it's a good morning to you, Dr. Urang. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jude.
Okay, so we are not sure if we have herd immunity, but now that we're faced with the all too real scenario of the Delta variant in Nigeria, the next question is, what do we do?
Well, with the Delta variant, we just have to have all the precautionary measures in place. But ordinarily, those have not been dropped. The precautionary measures have not been dropped because the target was to get all Nigerians get vaccinated, or probably 75% of Nigerians vaccinated before first quarter of 2022. So at that point, precautionary measures can now be dropped.
You're talking about 125 million Nigerians to be vaccinated.
That's the plan. But now...
That is an ambitious plan.
It's obviously not an ambitious plan. It's a plan that if Nigerians agree with, then we'll get it done. Countries are opening up. You're seeing football federations opening up.
Yeah.
Stadiums are opened up. People are going into stadiums to watch football. It's because they've had that level of vaccination. So we need to get to that level of vaccination before we drop the precautionary measures. So Delta variant, Alpha variant, whatever variants, precautionary measures are the same. Luckily for us, with all the researches that are coming out, you see that the Delta variant, the vaccines we are using still have some level of effect on the Delta variant.
Okay.
So for mortality, the goal of the vaccine, of course, every vaccine has a goal. Goal of this vaccination is three things. One, preventing mortality. 2, preventing severity. And the third one, trying to ensure that the person does not get the disease. Those are the 3 goals. And all the vaccines have this same goal, all the COVID vaccines.
So AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson.
All of them. Has these 3 goals.
Okay.
So, and researchers have shown that they are about 98 to 100% effective against mortality, 98 to 100% effective against severity. Then you now have different vaccines with the prevention. Some vaccines you have 62%, some vaccines you have 80%, and the rest of that. That's the prevention.
That's for prevention.
Yes.
So all the vaccines, if they are distributed and taken, will prevent mortality
and severity
of the disease.
Yes.
But it's the prevention now that's the key.
That varies.
So I think that's where a lot of Nigerians have been having issues, because when growing up, when people hear the word vaccination or inoculation, they feel once you take that jab, that particular ailment doesn't ever come to you. Measles comes into mind. Same thing with polio. Particularly in the South, many families have had their children receive the polio vaccine or other vaccines, and they just go, oh, it's never going to happen, and they think that's what happens. Could you clarify that?
Clearly, if you've seen polio vaccinations, we do a lot of rounds on polio. So before a child gets to 5 years, the child in most cases would have had up to like 10 doses, 5 doses minimum. Because routine, the child is expected to take 4 doses. You understand? 4 doses. Now we've introduced IPV. There's the injectable form of the polio vaccine. Now we are going to even add the second IPV, IPV2. We are going to add it soon into this routine schedule. For measles, you talked about. When a child takes the first dose of measles, there's what we call seroconversion. That seroconversion, it gives the child, the cohort of children that takes that first dose, about 85% protection. So some of them, about 15%, could still come down with measles. But what you're sure of is that the severity will be less compared to those who did not take. Then, if you now allow that cohort to grow, they will grow to a point where there could be an outbreak of measles. So what we now did was to introduce a second dose of measles into the routine schedule, where the second dose is given at 15 months. So when a child gets to 15 months, child takes the second dose. That second dose brings the seroconversion to 95 to 98%. So even with the second dose being taken, 2% or 5%,
it's still a small chance.
Yes, who still gets this disease. So it's not like an absolute thing. Where in yellow fever now, people are arguing winning immunity with the vaccine. Some researchers are saying it's 3 years between. Some are saying 10 years. But our immigration has completely pegged their own at 10 years. So every 10 years, you must have a booster dose of yellow fever vaccine. So why are we doing this?
Do we have the yellow fever vaccine in Nigeria?
Yes, we have.
Okay, so where does an individual get to have his yellow fever shot?
Yes, so because we've done a campaign. When we did a campaign, we did mass campaign for everybody that are eligible. But once after the campaign, it's the duty of the port authorities, because that's where it's been domiciled. Yes, we give them the vaccines, but it's domiciled there. They vaccinate and issue the yellow card. But when we are doing campaigns, then we can have the right to vaccinate.
So when anyone wants to get vaccinated now for yellow fever, they have to go to the port health authority. Port health
authority, yes.
Oh, okay, all right. So we need to find out where
any of the port health authorities in the airports, in the seaports.
So if I get to the airport, they not direct me to where their health center is.
Yes.
Or you don't have that information right now.
That's what I'm telling you now.
But no, I mean, in Port Harcourt, we're talking about
all the ports. Go to MPA, there is a port health authority there.
Okay.
Go to the airports, there's a port health authority there.
Okay.
Go to Urang, there's a port health authority there. So they vaccinate and now give you an e-yellow card, that's what they call it.
Oh, okay.
Because before you leave Nigeria, you must be vaccinated against yellow fever. Okay. Because Nigeria is assumed to be yellow fever endemic. Okay. So what I'm trying to say in essence is not just in COVID vaccine. So measles vaccine can give you this. Even we are having issues with pentavalent vaccine that contains pertussis, diphtheria, what they call it, tetanus, and all hepatitis B, and Haemophilus influenza type B. Those 5 vaccines are in one vaccine. So 5 antigens are in one vaccine. So you now have that kind of thing. You still have children who have taken this vaccine and still come down with tetanus after 5 years, 10 years. So that's why we're advocating that for children who are going, preschool children and school children, must take a second dose, a booster dose of the Penta vaccine, so it can protect them against the tetanus. So it's not just COVID, because majority of people will ask, why will you now say I've taken COVID vaccine and I still have chances that I could come down with the COVID disease? It's possible. But what of the severity? What of the death, mortality associated with it? Those things are what the vaccine goal is all about. Okay. So precautionary measures can be taken off when you have had some level of herd immunity. And for Nigeria, we must get up to 75% of our population vaccinated before we can beat our chest and say, yes, we are getting to this level. But with the 3.9 million,
not enough.
It's not enough.
Okay, all right. I'm going to give you 1 minute now to answer one question that a lot of Nigerians have been asking.
Yes.
We'll probably hear that as well. Many have said, but we know they see the thing as they affect us. When they go, they do our business. When they go farm, when they come back. If small cold do us, we take this thing, we go sleep, we wake up, our body is strong. How do you convince these people who feel that there is something maybe in the Nigerian airspace that is protecting them from getting this vaccine?
The big truth is that, first, we are in an environment. Look at our demography. We have younger people.
Yes, we have one of the youngest populations in the world.
So COVID tends to spare young people. Could that explain our problems?
Okay.
That actually will not mean that COVID does not exist. But we still have some few elderly people in our midst. So we, the young ones, if we have decided that COVID does not exist, don't you think that we can protect these young ones? Because if you even look at our vaccination program, we are not looking at 18 years below. Because they are not useful to the program. I'm not saying they are not useful. They are not useful in the sense that programmatically we want to concentrate on persons that form the disease burden, where the most vulnerable people. So the 18 years down, COVID just come and they just have flu and they walk over it. So except we are still monitoring the Delta variant to see if it's going to change. But for now, from reports we've gotten, that hasn't changed. So you need to focus on the elderly. So our population, our demography is more elderly. And Nigerians just believe a lot of things. Oh, this thing does not exist. Politicians will use it to get money. Hey, this one. Or maybe their religious fathers have told them, don't worry, these things are political things. And in fact, I have gone to somewhere and the pastor was saying, anybody who takes COVID vaccine will go to hell. Don't know how that one relates to her.
Okay.
So it's quite a big issue, sir.
All right. So 017-923-0002, 0817923-0003, 0817923-0007, and then the female caller line is 0817923-0009. These are studio numbers. Call in and ask your questions to the good Dr. Urang Joseph in the studio. WhatsApp and Telegram available on 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. That's for our WhatsApp and our Telegram numbers, 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. Then get on to Facebook, facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH, facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH, and join the conversation there. We're talking about COVID-19 and the Delta variants, and there are other variants, I believe, Doctor?
Yes.
Other than
the Alpha variant, the Gamma variant.
Okay, Alpha, Gamma, and Delta variant. But right now, it's the Delta variant that is making the rounds.
It's the most virulent.
It's the most virulent. So that means it replicates very quickly.
Replicates very quickly, kills as fast as possible.
Okay, all right. Now, Freshers Praise asks the question. She says, good morning, and to the guests in the studio. Please, how many vaccination centers do we currently have in Rivers State?
We shut all of them down. So there's no center as it talks now.
I see.
There's no vaccine, so why are you keeping people on the vaccination post? So once we have vaccines, then we'll start it up again.
Okay, so right now, no vaccination centers open. They are all shut down because no vaccines available. Okay, all right. Just come here now. Okay, so it's coming up to load just a bit here. Let me ask you now. So, in the meantime, whilst we are waiting for vaccines, diet-wise, what else can people do as it go to work, is the face mask still going to be enough in preventing the spread?
Well, the precautionary measures must be in place. We must continue doing all the things we are doing. Nose masks, washing of hands regularly, you use your hand sanitizer, avoid crowded environments, and the rest of all that. But most importantly, we must live healthy, because whatever it is an interaction between the system. Even if you get COVID, your immune system, because let's use for example, if B and you are exposed to the same thing, it was not expected that two of us will have the same level of disease at the same time. So what comes into play is the immunity level. So if my immunity level or your immunity level is stronger, let me not say mine is stronger. If your own is stronger than mine, the presentation of the disease in me and you will not be exactly the same. So we need to live healthy. So living healthy is one key thing that we need to look at critically. Then of course we need to continue our precautionary measures. Those precautionary measures should not be joked with.
So wear mask, what else? Washing hands.
Use your hand sanitizer, avoiding crowded places. People who are coughing need to get see their physicians almost immediately. Avoid people who have illnesses like fever, cough, and the rest of all that. Okay.
Now, I remember sometime in July of last year, there was a video that was being circulated, and I think the title of the video was "Why Viruses Can Be Useful." And in summary, the person there was saying, look, our body, our immunity learns by adapting.
Yes.
And the only way to adapt is if you are exposed to, pathogens. We have dirt on our skin. We're exposed every day that we are. And that's how we continue to build our immunity. But if we isolate ourselves, if we continuously wash our hands and keep them sterile, we may be doing more harm than good to our system. How do you see that?
I agree with you perfectly. I'm an epidemiologist and understand the importance of viruses. They mold our immune system completely. Let's look at it this way. Let's use Spanish flu, for example. The Spanish flu came on, and of course, the world was going on, and people were dying. Before the immunity, natural immunity will come up, and the world will be able to overcome that naturally. What now happens? The number of persons that would have died before the body will learn across and now get protecting people is a problem. So now science is now thinking, how do we fasten these processes up? How do we prime the people, even those who are not infected yet? How do we prime them to get protected against the disease? That's where the vaccination comes on. So I don't know if you understand. So we are not going to play down the fact that these viruses will actually infect the body. The body gets a memory of it and now get protected and all that. Those are complex processes that sometimes the herd immunity we're talking about will actually take some time. So the number of persons that will die before that herd immunity is what is our concern. But as a public health person, you're not thinking of, oh, well, let's leave it now, let's leave it. When they leave it, the herd immunity will not come as fast as you think, and large number of persons will die.
Okay. All right, James is asking a question. James says, please, in Ghana, the yellow fever vaccine I was given was, in quote, for life. Why are we still giving a 10-year duration for yellow fever vaccine in Nigeria?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. These things are school of thoughts, and arguments have been on. The first that period, everybody agrees that a shot of yellow fever vaccine that is covered for life. But now researchers are coming up that the immunity wins out. So I said, we are still insisting that it's one shot for life. But people are coming down with yellow fever, even when they have taken the one shot.
Do you have a percentage? Is it 10%, 5%?
Well, categorizing that is not going to be a very cheap study for now.
Okay, because we don't have the study here in Nigeria.
Oh, so that's why immigration now said. It's immigration I'm quoting. I didn't say we said. I say immigration said that if you're traveling out of Nigeria, the span of your yellow fever vaccine is going to be for 10 years. So you take a booster dose because they don't want you to introduce yellow fever to another country. And the credits now come back to Nigeria. That is a negative credit anyway. So that's why they are doing that. But studies are on, and a different school of thought. Some persons are even saying it's 3. Some persons are still arguing that it's for life. But the world has not come to a consensus to say that this is what is obtainable across the globe.
Okay, all right. 01792300002, 01792300003, 01792300007, and then the female caller line is 01792300009. Our WhatsApp and Telegram number is 0809030616. All right, message here says, good morning, Jude. The vaccine I know was supposed to stop or reduce an effect of a virus or disease. But in the case of COVID-19, it's completely different, which is not supposed to be. Now, in the case of COVID-19, the vaccine does not stop the virus from spreading, does not cure, does not immune, and doesn't even protect the body from contracting etc. So what exactly is the health benefits of the vaccine? If you ask me, there is more about this vaccine that Nigerians are ignorant about the benefits. So ask your guests, what can you say about the trending negative views about magnetic implants on some individual bodies as a result of the COVID-19 vaccine?
Another myth. Because the whole of the story, like I said here, as every vaccination has a goal. 3 goals for COVID vaccines. You want to stop the transmission of the disease. That's number 1 goal. Number 2, you want to stop or reduce the severity of the disease. So even if somebody by chance or anyhow get the disease, the severity is going to be less. And you want to stop mortality.
That means you want to stop people from dying.
Yes. So for the AstraZeneca, Pfizer and all that, the percentage is about 100%.
That prevent people from dying.
Mortality, yes.
Okay.
And the severity. Now, AstraZeneca arguments have been on that 62% for first shot. By the time you get the second shot, it increases. For you not getting the disease, preventing the disease. So when you say it doesn't prevent, I don't know where the story is coming from. Then the story of magnetic things. Yes. I have taken second dose. Let me bring out my phone and put it on my shoulder. In front of you, this is my phone. And listen, my hand here, this is where I took it.
Okay.
I'm putting it. Is it standing?
Okay.
Let's look at it clearly. Look. Is there any magnet?
Maybe one has faded.
But I took my own AstraZeneca. I mean, all the people I knew that took the AstraZeneca, spoon wasn't standing. I saw the video. I even told my wife, bring spoon, let's do on your hand, in case my own will not work. Oh, nothing. All these things are myths.
Okay. All right. So, the person sent the message, right? The doctor has said the aim of every vaccine, first and foremost, is to reduce mortality, to make sure that people don't die of that disease, to reduce its severity, so that even if you do get the disease, it's not as severe as before, and also to reduce transmission. If possible, you don't have the ability to transmit it to other people, or you don't even get it at all. But in the case of the COVID-19 scenario, all the vaccines you say are able to prevent mortality
and severity.
The challenge now is transmission.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where you have variant. This one is saying we have 62%, the other one is at 80%, some have 50% and all that. But they have some level of protection against that.
Okay, all right. So many people are sending me videos of what we need to hear. Wow,
it's myths.
Okay, so most of these are myths.
And they trend faster than even the truth.
So that's all we have here to dispel some of these rumors or these myths. Now, if I take the vaccine and something adverse, maybe death, will the vaccine producer be liable? If not, why so?
The country will be liable if it's true. But it is under emergency use listing, and that's why private individuals cannot buy a vaccine. So it's only governments that can buy. So government is liable. Okay,
so the government is liable. Okay, so you heard it. Okay, all right, thank you very much. We have just about a minute left before we say our goodbyes to the good doctor. Good morning, Jude. I want to know if you have taken the yellow fever vaccine 5 years ago and you want to travel abroad now, would you take again? Comfort there with that.
Immigration says 10 years. So when you go, they will tell you to take a second dose. There's a booster dose here.
10, but she took hers 5 years ago.
And so she is still within the 10 years.
Okay, so it's within the 10-year range, or so she doesn't need to take another dose. Anyway, that's too much. We will take care. Our bus stop is at its close. We're just about a few seconds away. Dr. Urang, vaccines not available in Port Harcourt, in Rivers State. Final word concerning this and maybe any other vaccinations.
We need to stay safe. There are a lot of activities going on in the vaccination world. And between now and August, we'll be able to come back with a new set of COVID vaccines. I hear we are coming with Pfizer, J&J.
That's
and
Johnson and Johnson.
Yes, and the AstraZeneca as well. So people will have options of the ones they will take. So, but once they arrive, we open shop again. And currently we are working on every other vaccination activities are on, and we'll be relating with the public as
please do let us know so we can also, as it were, make sure we get clarification on any vaccination that comes through. Dr. Urang Joseph has been my guest. Thank you very much for coming. It's been a pleasure having you this morning.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so all those questions are met. I hope we were able to address them. I'd like to thank you. As always, we're showing our red light here. Yeah, we park our bus here on Hello Port Harcourt. Tomorrow we'll be here. Tomorrow, 11 o'clock, we'll be talking about political officers, office holders, politicians, and their benefits. One caller today said, if we give them a love storm, we will not have corruption, we won't have stealing. Is that true? Only one way to find out. Hello Port Harcourt is your destination. I will bring you a story from Germany, and we'll be comparing to our very own good old-fashioned Nigeria. 11 o'clock tomorrow on Hello Port Harcourt. I leave you with Sweet Lemonade by myself.